A lot of your work has been devoted to documenting the past. Why?
I'm very blessed that people come to me and say, we want to commission you to do a documentary on that, apart from Fagioba, which is self-funded. But it's really important because, as Demas is saying, people are foregoing their own cultures here for the sake of being Western. Is there no way we can mix the two to come up with, like he just said, natural synthesis? So I think it's really important that these people are recorded, because otherwise all we're looking at is Dubai or America or England for our template, when the template is here. So how do you make it work, as he says, in a contemporary environment? That's essentially it, really.
Giles's comment in the film about how we need to look inside ourselves for our spirituality. And I've been to years and years ago, this is a personal thing, a friend of mine had died, and her funeral was held at the SMA chapel in Ibadan. And I remember at the time feeling what a spiritual place it is, whether you are a Catholic or not. There's really actually something about the architecture of the place that is calming, serene, and you just actually feel at peace. Did you feel that when you went to the rest of the places in the film?
What's really tragic, yes, I did. I mean, to me, Demas is a god, sorry. He's like Renaissance man of Nigeria. Oh, to me, can you hear me? Yeah, Demas to me is a god, honestly. He's like the Renaissance man of Nigeria. He set the bar, and we're not... His buildings are being left derelict, can you imagine? He's the only architect who has something to say culturally. He has something, and it's just being left empty and destroyed. It's been left to rot. That's a travesty. He wouldn't let Gaudi's architecture rot in Spain or wherever, but here it's like, oh, well, fuck it. He's a nobody. No one knows him. He's just been getting recognized now, and sadly, it's by Germany coming in and saying Demas is worth something. Suddenly everyone says, oh, Demas is worth something. Why? The guy is extraordinary. He designed everything, even the machinery. He designed his own machinery. Every detail is by him. I can't remember what the question was.
Okay. Do you think that leads me to the next question, that do you think that there's something about our unease about ourselves and our uneasy walk with our African selves and our Western imposition that unless it's validated by the West, we don't appreciate it?
It seems to be a bit of that. I think we're growing a bit more, thankfully, but it seems a lot of that, really, actually, yeah. I mean, the guy spent all his money on that place in Ibadan. It's an incredibly purpose-built studio, arts center, everything. It's there. His own money was put into it, and it's lying there half empty. Why isn't the University of Ibadan, someone coming to him and saying, let's do something with this space, let's revive it, let's make it productive? I mean, people are. I know that some people are working with his grandson, and it's amazing that his grandson has taken on his grandfather's legacy. He's as passionate about Uncle Demas. He's passionate about Uncle Demas. He knows every detail about his grandfather. That's why I used him, because Uncle Demas is too old to be going around talking. So his grandson was a good person to represent his grandfather. But everything, even the magazine, those monthly magazines, it lasted a year, but they're quite profound. He's gave me, I got every copy.
Oh, wow. I hope you're going to digitize it. I hope they have.
I'm sure they will. I mean, it's a gift to me, so I don't know.
But I think you should ask them as well and encourage them to do so, because sometimes people also need to be encouraged in the way forward. Tell us about the grandson, because for me, he was a very interesting character.
He said, as he said in the film, he decided not just to study. He didn't want to just. He wanted to study his grandfather, so he knew every detail. His grandfather. He sat with his grandfather for days at a time, just listening to him, studying him, getting to know his thought pattern. So he knows. He's like an expert on his grandfather.
Because again, we hear the Zaria Rebels, the Mbari Collective. It's the same names. We need to do ours. I mean, young people, I'm ancient. Young people have to start their own, and they have to document it. And do you think your work helps that? Do you think people like Rufus are in the foreground of that?
Yeah. I mean, you guys are here. Would you think of doing something? I mean, he did his own magazines. They were more advanced then than we are now in a way. That whole collective spirit and coming forward to do that natural synthesis, combining your culture with borrowed from the West, which everyone does everywhere else in the world. You know your culture, but you borrow little bits from other people to make something unique. So, yeah. Are you guys ready? Please do it.
Yes, no, silence. How do you see the need, in fact, I would say the urgency to document, because they're going to go soon.
I know.
Yes, and we don't seem to have a full enough library of their thoughts.
I mean, luckily, John Godwin wrote a book on Demas. I think the various exhibitions. Now, Demas is becoming, now he's 82, he's getting the limelight. Well, it took that time, but he's very happy, he's very alive. He's coming to Lagos next week for something, so, he's getting there. He's got it at 82. Does it have to take so long to recognize our masters? I don't know.
But then at what point do you become a master? And is the lesson there, is it not just you have to keep on going?
Keep to your vision, like he did.
He said as well. You just do what you have to do.
Yeah, and it's not about money.
It's not about money, and it's not about whether you think the accolade and the applause will come from anywhere. You have to know your path. But how easy is it to do? Do you think you're on a path?
I guess I am. It's not easy because, it's not the commercial route, so you're always kind of challenged to, find the next. You do your passion project, like Fajriaba was a passion project. These, like I said, I'm very lucky that clients come to me to do these projects. So I'm kind of privileged in that way, and I'm glad, I'm very happy. So it's important, everyone should be doing it in their own way, really. Because we haven't got a history here so much. We have a history, but it's not been written down, it's not been documented. So unless people keep doing this, it's going to get lost. And people will understand their cultural nuances, or understand where they're from and how to develop from it, and come up with something the West want to copy for a change.
You're the daughter of a very esteemed architect yourself. How did you feel working on this project? Did you feel, oh gosh, I wish somebody had done one?
Yeah. It's funny because
let's talk about that.
Uncle Demas and my father worked on a project together, so he knew me and my family, but I don't remember him. But they came from same idea about tropical architecture, but my father came from a European coming to Nigeria and working at tropical modernism. He came from an indigenous person borrowing from the West to come up with their own architecture. So it came with the same conclusion from different angles. I found Demas very interesting. I was born into this. I live this. It's kind of home.
Talk about it.
I live in a home which is a Oyinbo version of Demas's world, I guess. My father built a house that didn't require air conditioning. It's natural ventilation. Nothing is straight. Everything's curvy. We have trees for cooling the system. So I understand what Demas is talking about because my father did it, but from a different angle, obviously as an outsider coming in. And Demas was an insider going out to come back in. That makes sense.
Do you think that Demas is a lone voice? Do you think that your father was a lone voice? Do you think that as we become more and more cityfied and urbanized, do you think that we are going to continue the way of the glass and the concrete? Or do you think at some point there will be a tipping point and we say, no, let's go back and see where we went wrong? What do you think?
I think it's a global phenomenon, really. So, but we're doing it faster. We've knocked down, look at Isaliko, it's gone. Brazilian architecture's gone. There's nothing there. So it's a global thing. London's the same thing. New York's getting rid of it. So how do we, at some point, I guess the world will step back a bit. But I hope we haven't destroyed too much before that point comes. Because at least you can go around London or New York and see buildings that were built. You can shoot Charles Dickens in London still. What can you shoot in Isaliko about? Oh, you can't. So, yeah, I don't know.
So this is a cry for help?
Yeah.
And how do you think people can help? What can they do? What can we all do individually?
Thanks, Ugoma. Individually, well, maybe we should start, what can we do individually? Start respecting the culture you come from and don't keep thinking it's not good enough. Even acknowledge you have a traditional religion which is important and it has depth around the world. Acknowledge, like Demas says, we have everything. Just borrow what you need and come up with something new, but don't just dismiss what we have because it's from here. Don't try to copy Dubai because it's Dubai. Oh, I want to be like America. I want to put an American accent because I'm talking on the radio. Hi, my name's Fusayo. What's yours? Let's try and talk in our normal language. You know, let's try and be a bit real. Be proud of whatever part you come from.
When Demas, how did he take it when you said, hey, I want to come and make a film?
It was a grumpy old man, but he likes me. I like old men. They get on with me. No, because he knew my father, so there's a connection already. With most of the people in the series, they knew my parents, so it was easy. There's a connection. But they're quite grumpy old men. They're old. They're fragile. You can't spend too long. They get tired. So you have to work around them.
Your next project?
Oh,
I
Lord
hope
have
you
mercy.
can talk about it. Do you want to hear about Hannibal now?
No, I'm currently working on a very tricky sub-project because I'm still looking for finishing funding. It's based on the life of Balaraba Ramat Yakubu, who was Murtala Muhammad's baby sister, who basically was a child married. Her mother behind her father's back sent her to Western education. You know that in the North, women, in that time, girls could only go to Quranic school. So her mother, who was illiterate, sent her behind her back to Western school. The father finds out, and as punishment, gets her married off at 13 to a 48-year-old man. He returns a year later saying she's too young. Anyway, she comes back, long story short, she's the founder of a movement of literature in the North where women find a voice through their literature. But religious leaders preached against her. She was almost stoned. She was almost attacked for her beliefs. So it's her journey I'm working on. So it's part documentary, part drama reenactments, and part animation. But I still need money to complete.
So I think we are almost out of time. Do we have questions?
Yeah, two quick questions. In an age of globalization where new shiny things look very attractive and we all have access to them, if not physically, then through the media, how do you convince young people that the old matters? In other words, why does the old matter? Why is it important that we still connect with our culture and continue to make that a part of our journey moving forward? The second question is about Demas himself. How does he feel about the fact that all the sort of amazing things he's done, but not just him, all of sort of his contemporaries have sort of been ignored and nobody is sort of paying attention? Do they feel angry? Are they upset? Or have they sort of come to terms with it and accepted that this is the case of the decay that has happened to this country across many things?
The globalization issue is an issue, and it's an issue globally. I think everything's trends. This glass shiny thing is a trend because it's I don't know, anyway. But obviously history is important. Why are you taught history? Then what's the point of history, essentially? Like I said, in England and America, you can see that I think every city, you should be able to see some element of the historical process of the architecture. You just knock everything down, but that doesn't happen, really. We still have essences of history in other parts of the world. And even for tourism, I guess, seeing some parts of history encapsulated in certain pockets is a way of bringing in income as well. So that question, I don't know, because I think the past informs the future. Even that glass shiny was informed by something, by some essence of the past. So that question, I don't know if I answered it, I don't know. What's the second one? Okay, well, Demas is getting his shine now. So maybe he's busy. People are doing papers on him. There's some architect from Sierra Leone who's doing his doctorate, spending time with Demas. People are coming to see him all the time now. The Germans are sending him off to Germany to do lectures. So he's getting his place in the sun now, 82. I think people like Bruce already kind of constantly there anyway. So they're not forgotten, but someone like Demas, who is bigger than just a painter, he's this amazing architect who, as Giles said, has set a template, as he said quite clearly, for you to merge your contemporary side of African and your African culture to create something new. That's the key. That what he said is the key to me. And that's, I think, hopefully answers your question through Demas's answer.
Do I have to stand up? Oh, can I sit? Okay. Well, I'm actually the architect who is doing the doctorate with Demas. It's
Hello.
me. Hi.
Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you.
Actually, I'll stand.
Stand up now.
That's all right.
Thank you.
So I'm glad, I don't have a question really. I just want to say thanks for the film. And there's aspects of it, because I've been with Demas for a year, since last August. I have 2 grants, one from Chicago. It's kind of interesting to connect back to Chicago, where the church came from, the Dominican Institute, where they had to send those paintings and drawings back to come back with Demas and have the go-ahead for it. So we're going full circle, and the Graham Foundation sending me back to document Demas's work. So my work is we're doing 2 books, which we've already recorded the scripts, but it's been a uphill struggle to get it done. As you know, Demas retired after 15 years from UI and went back to do architecture in his village, because at the time, the NIA did not recognize his work. Nigerian architects were at odds with what Demas was doing, so he actually had to, as he said in the film, I didn't start up a commercial practice. But what we're doing is, the first book is, it's a coffee table book, which will come out, which is on the story about the Ibadan chapel. So that's going to be interesting, and in Demas's own words, which we've recorded. We have the audios as well, which maybe we can have one day for sort of use publicly. So that kind of work has been done. The second book is, which has also been recorded, it's on the Cultural Center in Benin. Since he started off being an artist, he actually shunned architecture school because he think there wasn't much creativity if you went to architecture school, that you become a technician. But anyway, he went to the art route first. That's why the paintings are so illustratively more art kind of orientated, with the African tradition infused with it. But I think the quest for finding the model of African playhouse has been a central theme. So there's theater plays very largely in Demas's work. But I think what I want to say is, I don't know if there are any architecture students here, young students, graduate students, or anything like that. We're looking for people to come to the village. That's my plea. It's not only good we're here, sitting here comfortably. I mean, I've left London, where I'm an architect for 10 years now, and I've packed up, well, not literally packed up, I've come to live in the village. There's a lot of culture. Demas's work essentially around culture, the politics of making. But we need people to come in to draw, to CAD his drawings up. His work needs to digitalize. It's not going to be done by its own. We need even funding to have big plotters that we can scan those drawings, scan those work, and have that in a collective archive. So right now we need people who can digitalize those drawings, help with putting images together. If you have publishing skills, it's not very attractive to come and live in the village, but if you want to be part of what he did, I guess that's my plea, and I will continue to talk about it. And so, I mean, Demas's work is a big part of my work now. So if anybody is interested at any point, thank you.
I just want to say something. I just want to say that this commission was for a client, so it had to be a 25-minute format. But I really, really would like to do a longer version on him, because I only had half a day with him. So you can imagine what I could dig up from him if I could spend longer and do like an hour, 45 minutes, an hour piece. But again, it's down to funding. But I think he deserves more than this 25 minutes, actually. But at least I've done something, you know.
Hello. Hi. This is Tone Williams in the audience. Just following up from your last comment, Remi, can you just tell us a little bit about the Hidden Treasures project and how many visual artists have you captured with the project? It's so important what you've done with Hidden Treasures. Just very quickly, thank you.
Okay, I've done Kolade Oshinowo. I've done David Dale, who sadly died. So I'm so happy I did him before he died. I've done Yusuf Grillo, and that's the artist so far. Yeah, I think we're looking at Barber next, a Biomi Barber next. Because he's about 82. About 4? Yeah, about 4. Sorry?
And then it comes to an end.
No, it's funding. The client says, Remi, I've got money, let's do the next one. So whenever I think FM's Foundation of Modern Contemporary Visual, whatever that way is. Anyways, whenever they have funding, they say, let's do the next one, that I do it.
Yeah. Remi, I just wanted to say thank you so much. I got a message from Demas Nwoko's daughter, Bofu, that this was going to show. I'm actually Salma Uchokeke, and Demas Nwoko is like a father to me.
Oh, bless.
And so I'm so happy because, I was watching it and it was just like sitting right next to him. We were there with him sometimes in April with the Iwalewa House crew.
Okay,
that was before he went to Germany this time. And, he's getting along now. And basically, what he said to us then was he left everything till the end. He wanted to finish his life story before he started documenting. I'm sure he told you that.
Yeah.
So basically now he's trying to document quite as much as he can.
He's an
and
amazing
see
man.
how much he can do before time runs out. So this is really beautiful as a way to kickstart all that for him. And anybody that hasn't met him, I'm sure got a real feel of him from this film. It was so real. It was just like
He's
sitting
like
right next to him. And you really got the essence of him.
Oh, he's my daddy
And
too.
Yes. And so, like the architect said also, we appeal to more people to go right down there because he decided to go out of the urban areas and do his work, and he's trying to start off. And his grandson appears to be the next person in line with him. That's the person he's grooming and training and getting ready to take things over. And so it's only right that he should be featured in the movie. I'll go back and say how good the movie was, and I'll say how well accepted it was.
Thank
it has
you.
been. And Ugoma and crew, thank you so much. You're doing a very good job.
No, I'm very, very privileged and honored, really. It's a serious privilege.
Thank you for being a great audience. Remi, thank you very much, and thank you so much.